Indochino is the world's most exciting made-to-measure menswear company. And here's how it works. Visit a stylist at their showroom and have them take your measurements personally or measure at home yourself and shop online at Indochino.com. You choose your fabric inside and out, choose your design customizations, submit your measurements with your choices, and relax while your suit gets professionally tailored and mailed to you in a couple of weeks. This week, my listeners can get any premium Indochino suit for just $359 at Indochino.com when entering ATH at checkout. That's 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, and shipping is free. That's Indochino.com, promo code ATH for any premium suit for just $359 and free shipping. An incredible deal for a premium made-to-measure suit. Indochino are also expanding into casual clothes. Your made-to-measure chinos will quickly become your go-to pant, pairing as easily with a suit jacket as they do with a sweater. And they'll be good any time of year for any occasion, from boardroom meetings to Sunday brunches. Indochinos at an introductory price of $79.
My name is Lauren. I'm 33. I didn't want my identity to be the smoking mom. My first experience with Juul, I do remember being like, this is good. It's like a cigarette, but not. I don't miss smoking at all. Like, I can officially say it grosses me out.
Juul is the tobacco alternative that delivers nicotine satisfaction without cigarette ash or lingering odor. Make the switch at JUUL.com/sports.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Woody Page, Tim Kalishaw, Clinton Yates, Bob Ryan. Oh, today, what's scarier, LeBron's Jason costume or LeBron needing to hit a free throw with 2 seconds left to win a game? Also, Derrick Rose 50. Let's go around the horn.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
We start with the State University of Maryland and the removal of head football coach DJ Durkin, one day after the Board of Regents decided to reinstate him. The tragic death of Jordan McNair, whose name should never be lost in this, came after team workouts 5 months ago. Workouts the school has acknowledged were not managed well, negligence in examining and addressing the severity of McNair's health. University President Wallace Lowe announced the reversal and the firing and his retirement all in one yesterday. The reasoning has a direct line to the public outrage, the very public outrage, over the initial decision to reinstate. Clinton Yates, you're based in Washington, D.C. How do you view Maryland's decision? How do you view Maryland today?
I don't view them any better or more poorly than I did before because of the initial problems here, but there are so many questions in terms of the order of operations that I think we have to have answered here. If President Lowe felt that he was stated by he was directed by the Board of Regents not to fire DJ Durkin, well then I'm supposed to believe that all of a sudden you didn't know that the backlash was going to be what it was for reinstating him? That just doesn't make sense to any reasonable person. So I feel like there's something else that you have to understand there. And secondarily, I just don't get why everybody doesn't believe that Lowe was part of this problem as well. He's been not remotely liked on this campus at all. And I just want to say, in addition to that, Coach Canada has actually made this team a decent football team on top of that. So I give him credit for being able to keep this together. But otherwise, I don't trust any of them. And I still feel like there's another piece of information that has to come out in this that would explain the initial decision not to fire him off the top.
Mm-hmm. Bob Ryan, you?
I'm trying to make sense of it myself, Clinton. Obviously, 24 hours ago, or when I first heard this, I was appalled. I could not believe that we're going to recommend that he be retained. I was very gratified, therefore, to hear that he will not be back. But there's a lot, obviously, unanswered questions. The commission they put together, how they ever arrived at that conclusion, I do not know. There's an awful lot going on here. But Maryland is better off. They are better off than they would have been if this had maintained its, the original decision. But clearly, they got a lot of fence mending to do.
Tim Kalishaw.
I mean, regardless of the president's role, through the process, at least a day later, he did make the decision that needed to be made after meeting with students, after meeting with deans, and seeing what the backlash was. All it really should have taken was the tweet from Ellis McKinney, an offensive lineman, a teammate of Jordan McNair's, who said, "Every Saturday we kneel at a memorial for my teammate. It's a shame nobody here has the courage he has." And that it's never too late to do the right thing. I think they finally got around to the right thing for a lot of reasons, but really for the people who are there and want to move on with Maryland football. You were never going to be able to do that as long as DJ Durkin was on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm. And Woody Page.
I think that all the rascals should be thrown out, as the old political saying goes. And I think the athletic director should resign. The president has left. Durkin has left. And I think the board of governors, the regents, should also step down. Let's start fresh. Then we can answer all those questions that you've talked about. Maybe even appoint a new committee or a new outsider, an attorney, to investigate what's going on at the University of Maryland. But I follow Bob's thought, though. A day ago, when we first started talking about this, everybody went, what in the world are they doing there? Well, at least 24 hours later, they have made a terrific decision, as far as I'm concerned, in regard to going in a different direction with a coach who has done a nice job in the interim basis.
Clinton Yates.
I just wanted to say, historically, the context here is important. University of Maryland is the same place where Len Bias attended, and he passed away before he managed to make it to the Boston Celtics. As far as I'm concerned, this institutionally is, in fact, worse.
Mm-hmm. I do recall President Lowe's first comments months after, but when we got the findings from the death of McNair. And they struck me in some ways that the school was really demanding of their role in it, and he talking about some things that were actually borderline negligent that legally you thought could come back up in the future. I thought that was at some point very forward and progressive coming from a president of a school. And then how it's played out in the last month and a half since then is surprising. One thing to take away, though, that may be something you can feel that change could happen from the student organizations. Tim, you brought that up. And the president addressed this yesterday. It was the governor's words as well, of course, in the public outrage. But Lowe did hear from the students of the school. You can be the change that you want to see in your university. And I thought that was at least something that could be taken away from this. This has been a very terrible situation for the university for the last 5 months. Thanks for your thoughts. We'll move on. The Derrick Rose 50-point game last night. This was a very big news story in NBA Twitter and beyond.
Everything, man. I work my ass off, bro.
It meant a lot to Derrick Rose, of course, coming back to 50 points on the basketball court. Everybody responded as well as team. The way the team celebrated with him in the locker room was quite emotional as well. Tim, what did this tell you about Derrick Rose?
Well, I mean, it's a phenomenal comeback for a guy who the last time he even scored 40, the Mavericks were a few months away from winning their first title, and LeBron James was in his first year with Miami Heat. It was 7.5 years ago since he scored 40. Since then, his career has basically been torn left ACL, torn right meniscus again, torn left meniscus. And last year, it didn't look like he could score 10. For him to score 50, I think that puts him in a new light, and I think it puts things in a new light in terms of how you look at the T-Wolves and maybe what they can do going forward with or without Jimmy Butler. They may have more talent here assembled than they realized.
Let's address that in a second. First on Derrick Rose, Clinton Yates.
Not much. I mean, look, he's a guy who's had a lot of injuries, and 138 players in the history of the NBA have scored 50 points, including some names you will forget for sure. So, I mean, I'm happy for him in the context that he's gotten his feel back from a basketball standpoint. But overall, I mean, I got to say, every time I think of Derrick Rose, I think of a guy who's lucky to have his freedom, quite frankly. I mean, this is a nice moment for him personally, but there are larger things at play here, and I don't think that the T-Wolves are any better for it going down the line.
Bob Ryan? Derrick Rose?
He was at the top of the mountain once upon a time as a young MVP. He went to the bottom, missed an entire season, played 10 games another season, walked away from a team. I mean, he was almost a pariah. For him to do this, it's remarkable. You have to give him credit on an athletic basis. I love the way he did it in terms of the fact that he took 600 and some dribbles to Klay Thompson's 56 in order to score his 50
It really
points.
was. I'm glad you brought that up. I saw that stat too.
And was barely assisted on any of his baskets. This is ball dominance to the nth degree.
Yeah, I know. Just two different styles of basketball. I mean, no one's judging that Clay's were better than Derrick Rose's, but it was 653 dribbles for the 50 points. And how about you, Woody Page?
I thought the same thing. At 12 dribbles per minute in a basketball game. That's an awful lot. But I'm going to give you a stat. Bear with me here, Tony. Of the MVPs in the history of the NBA who have gone on to score 50 points or more in a game, he had the longest time between the award and the time when he accomplished the feat. How's that for a stat?
That's
I thought what was really appropriate and interesting was the players gathered around him and really celebrated on the sideline and then had a champagne sort of celebration in the locker room. That's not what we've been quite seeing with the Timberwolves lately.
Exactly. So let me ask this question.
Tim,
I'll give you a hosting credit for today's show as well. What does this tell you about the Timberwolves since Butler sat out last night? Does this in some way accelerate the process for Butler to get traded? Tim, you could start us off there.
I mean, I think it should, although, I don't think they'd be inclined to take a deal where they're getting 4 draft picks over 7 years. Derrick Rose isn't going to be around for the last 2 or 3 of those draft picks. But, I mean, they at least know they have options and more options than they thought beyond Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm. Clint Yates?
Yeah, to that point, I mean, I think if Derrick Rose goes off for 50 and you're trying to actually have a decent season, it's not a reason to push Jimmy Butler out. It's a reason to try to get him back in so that you can actually have some more scoring options on that team. I mean, as Tim stated, a bunch of trades down the line is not going to do anything for you with Derrick Rose's timeline. And I still don't believe that Jimmy Butler going is the right solution for this team. He's a good player. You need him. He's the best player on the roster.
Bob Ryan.
I think Jimmy Butler must get out of there for their harmony, and look at what Towns has been doing lately. And secondly, I think that they have to be careful not to overreact to this because of Derrick Rose's well-documented injury history. And I think that he hasn't proven he can get through a full season yet and play at a high level.
Mm-hmm. Woody Page?
I'm jumping aboard the Ryan Express here again. I think you just immediately trade him, revisit Miami Heat and Pat Riley, even though he said some not nice words about you, and say, we'll take those pieces now. Because if you get a couple more pieces, this is a genuine playoff contender team. Again, like they were last year. You got to get Butler out of there. Rose does have that injury history that has just haunted his career, but if he can play 30 minutes a game, not 41 like he did last night, I think he can be a real guiding force for this team with his leadership that he showed in Chicago.
Bob, I want to just invite you to give us something on the 50-point game in the NBA, because earlier today when we were talking about this game, you referenced Blake Griffin's game as being so far in the rear view a classic game, and now Derrick Rose as well. When you hear a 50-point score, Clint Yates told us there were 138, was it, yeah. Clinton?
Yeah.
Is it still something for you, Bob, as a basketball historian?
Yes, 50 is a magic barrier number for me. Yes, absolutely, positively. It's hard for me to believe that actually the first 50-point game was a 63-point game by Joe Fulks back in 1948.
Oh, there you go. Jumpin' Joe Fulks. I think it was Jumpin' Joe Fulks. Yeah, wasn't it? All right.
Wasn't allowed to jump.
We'll take a break. Kalishaw, 11, Page 7, Yates 4. Bob Ryan leading the way with 14. Buy or sell next.
100 points, doesn't it?
Shout out to Tony Delk.
Tony Delk, right. There's some odd.
If you're a smoker, you know switching isn't easy. You've tried vapes and e-cigs. They just didn't deliver the satisfaction you expected. But Juul is different. It's not an e-cigarette. It's a vapor product that actually satisfies. Plus, Juul is simple to use, and there's no cigarette ash and no lingering odor. As a smoker, you expect a certain nicotine experience, right? Juul delivers. Give Juul a try. Check out JUUL.com/sports. Switch and be satisfied. Yes, you can do both. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Buy or sell.
In preview of Brady Rodgers Sunday night, here's Bill Belichick.
Still think Tom has the edge over Aaron?
Yeah, well, I've never played against Tom Brady.
He's got 5 championships, so that ends most discussions, I think.
And there's Aaron Rodgers. Bob, has the GOAT debate already been settled, as Rodgers seems to suggest?
Well, there's 2 debates. See, that's the problem is the all-time achievement debate. I think you have to say that Tom Brady has staked his claim to that one with the 5 championships and the 3 Super Bowls. But in terms of who's the best at the very moment and who's best at the peak, that's open for debate. I think most people in the NFL would rather have Aaron Rodgers to win a game tonight.
So you have 2 debates. You have the GOAT debate and the GOMP debate. Greatest of the moment time. Paige, how about you?
I'm going with GOAT and BOAT. Greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Best of all time, Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think they're really synonyms. When we're talking about, as Bob said, if you wanted one game, a guy, Aaron Rodgers or a John Elway. But if you're looking for greatest of all time, it would be Brady, then Montana.
Tim Kalishaw, how about you?
I think the GOAT debate will always be ongoing for people who are going to say Joe Montana, 4-0 in Super Bowls. And, he didn't play as long as Tom Brady, but, hard to beat perfection, at the highest level. I think Brady has settled any debate over the last 20, 25 years, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, anybody else, even Drew Brees, who's seen as his peers. It's got to be Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Clint Yates?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to winning championships and when it comes to the entirety of what the Patriots dynasty was, obviously Brady represents everything that the modern NFL is supposed to do. But if you watch the football, Aaron Rodgers simply as a person that drops back and throws the ball around obviously can do things that Tom Brady can't do if we're being real with ourselves. So it's a different discussion in terms of rings than it is versus athleticism.
Well, let me just hear right now. I think I know where you're going, Clinton. But who would you rather have Sunday night as your quarterback? Is it going to be Rodgers or is it going to be Brady, Woody Page?
Brady, playing at home with that team. And the problems the Packers are having.
I'd rather have Rodgers, but I'd rather have him playing on the Patriots.
Yates?
Rodgers. Discount.
Bob Ryan.
I'll tell you what the NFL people would say. Rodgers.
Okay. Let me go buy or sell 1A real quick here, because the Belichick response, I want to get your response on that, Bob Ryan. Is that a good answer or not good answer? By the way, he kind of sidestepped and said, well, I've never played against Brady before.
5 years ago, Bill Belichick would have offered a complete endorsement of Tom Brady. He said it many times over the years. I wouldn't rather have anybody but Tom Brady. He blew this opportunity. Why? Because this is post-Garoppolo. He is now in another phase with his relationship with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Tim, is that a good answer or a bad answer from Belichick?
I think his answer was okay because he actually gave some thoughtfulness to the rest of his response. I wanted to say that Aaron Rodgers also doing the same thing. Listen to him carefully. He said those 5 Super Bowl rings end most discussions.
Good point. Good point. All right, we'll move on. Buy or sell 2, this exchange between Matt Patricia and a reporter.
Just have a little respect for the process. Every day you're coming and asking questions and you just kind of give me that. But I mean, just be a little respectful. I'm asking just to be a little respectful in this whole process. Okay. So ask me a question professionally, and I'll answer. Okay.
Patricia's in his first year as head coach, as you all know, and studied at the prestigious Belichick School of Public Engagement and Perception, the BSPEP. Woody, buy or sell his method there and what you've seen from him this season?
Well, I haven't seen much, but that's been the history of Belichick students, that they go somewhere else and they're never quite as successful, not even successful at all, wherever else they go. But I think for him to be talking to someone else when he's gone through the struggles about his past when he got there, and they're in last place, and the way he appears with a pencil over his ear and his cap backwards, no, he has no right.
Tim Kalisha?
I'm going to say this. There is some slouching in the media. There are some posture issues, and we even would say some of our colleagues frame questions in a way we kind of go, why did he or she do it exactly like that? I'm not saying anything about this particular person in Detroit. I don't know, but we're not above being elevated sometimes to a higher level.
Okay. Clint Yates, how did you read Patricia?
We're not above this, but again, Matt Patricia, if this is what you're focused on midweek when it comes to the NFL, clearly you don't have your priorities together, and it is indicative by the record of your football team. Come on, man. This is a colossal waste of time in a press conference.
Bob Ryan.
I wish I knew what led to this. Obviously, we don't know the question and all the history or anything else. I'll say this. Bill Belichick stonewalls, but he doesn't reprimand. And his lieutenants, as Woody has rightly pointed out, have been uniformly awful and they're as generals. And this guy is just learning his new role.
So you wouldn't call this Belichicking. You would say this is something slightly different than what Patricia's doing here.
Oh, no, Belichick doesn't do that. He just doesn't answer.
Buy or sell 3, the LA Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw extending their deadline for an extension. Clearly means their aim is to sign him long-term, right? Is that the right move? And when does signing a will-be 31-year-old arm with lots of miles tip over to the other side, maybe being not so great a move? Tim, you want to start there?
I think when it's the 31-year-old arm with lots of miles that belongs to Clayton Kershaw and 3 Cy Young awards, you put some of that and you put some of the postseason disappointments aside, and you say, we want to make sure we already have the highest payroll. We'll go get whatever players we need. We want to make sure Clayton Kershaw's career starts with the Dodgers and ends with the Dodgers, and I think that's what the Dodgers.
So you believe there's value to that, even if monetarily you're not getting what you should be getting from your starting pitcher,
Clayton Kershaw. You don't want to go see him pitching for the Yankees.
Clint Yates, how about you?
Absolutely. I don't know that you're not getting what you should be getting. I think it's just been a couple of unfortunate situations as far as the postseason, but throughout his regular season career, the guy's been great. Worked out pretty well signing a 30-plus-year-old guy to a long deal here in Washington with Max Scherzer, so I don't have any concerns on that front, but I think that Kershaw, would be a good signing for the Dodgers.
Bob Ryan?
You wish that sanity could prevail on all sides. Kershaw's done winning sides. It's evident. His stuff is not what it was. It never will be again. But he's still a quality pitcher, and but not a Cy Young guy. And there should be a realistic meeting of the minds. He should be a Dodger. I totally endorse that. He should retire as a Dodger.
Woody Page.
Oh, Bob, you have to remember this year he's on the DL twice, but yet they still won 16 of the games he started. So that doesn't seem to me like it's a big drop-off. This is a guy you want for another 5-6 years. Give him a little less money over that time. Pay him $150 million. They obviously, by putting this date back, want to come to an agreement. Yeah. Why not?
I always love when you guys spend other people's money. Yeah, just give him $150 million. That'll be fine. Woody, I do want to reward you, though. Good job on getting that puzzle done. The blackboard behind you says you got it done in 1 year. That's great.
Thank you.
Yes. And Clinton Yates also taking a break right here. Kalisha Ryan, show that next.
As a young boy, Gavin loved playing football. He lived and breathed it, wanted to go pro. Why, he'd spend hours upon hours just practicing his touchdown dances. And one day, while getting fitted for bifocals, he realized he was never much good at throwing, or running, or catching, or even kicking. Yeah, Gavin's chances of playing pro football were looking like fourth and long. Very long. But he did hear how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. Then he did kind of a touchdown dance. At least he was still good at that.
The Horn is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things fall.
Kalisha Ryan, good luck in showdown. I say again, what's scarier? LeBron, Jason costume. LeBron at the free throw line with 2 seconds left. He went 1 of 2. Lakers got the win by 1 over the Mavs. After this game, Luka Doncic got a signed LeBron jersey. That was kind of sweet. Kalisha, start us off. Every Lakers question, same question. Just 1 win or something more?
This is just 1 win. The Mavericks had him right there. Wesley Matthews, what are you doing fouling LeBron with 2 seconds to go? Luka Doncic getting the jersey, I'm fine with that. He plays like a pro.
Of course, yeah.
I think the scariest thing is LeBron going to the free throw line with the game on the line. This is not his forte. I know he's a little bit better this year, but I would not have that confidence. I think Wesley Matthews was thinking straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you think there was a little bit of strategy in there. Okay, all right. We'll split the point. We'll move on. Showdown 2, Thursday Night Football, Raiders at Niners. So there's that. But John Gruden, in an interview with Fox on Air tonight, says he's getting calls from players dying to play for the Raiders. You buy that, Bob?
Yeah, I buy it. I figured the average age of the caller was probably 48. Figured I can play for that team. Plenty of good jobs available. Of course he's getting phone calls from guys who can't play.
TC?
I'm selling this. This could be Clinton Yates calling him. Everybody watches this team play and says, I could play for that team. Is this what the Raiders got for 10 years and $100 million? A guy in the middle of his first year saying, hey, people want to come here. Maybe we'll win a second game with them.
Do you guys listen when each other talk? You've given the same exact answer. You're both losing a point. It's 0-0. We're going to showdown 3. Trick-or-treating as yourself in full uniform. Juju Smith-Schuster did this. Tim, is that fair or foul?
It's fair. He went all the way. Look, he's even wearing thigh pads. He didn't just slop on a jersey. He's completely suited up. I bet his shoes are taped.
Totally foul. This is the age of narcissism, and there it is, Exhibit A. It's about the kids, Juju, not about you, okay? Stay in the background.
He did give out candy. The age of narcissism, we say on a show that has a FaceTime we're about to give away to Tim Kalisha. You know, Juju's closer in age to those people he is photographed with getting the candy than he is to anybody on our show. Kalisha, take the FaceTime.
We lost one of the great ones last night. Thoughts and prayers to the family and friends of Willie McCovey. The man's got a cove named after him. Great player for many, many years. I still have his rookie card. Close to mint condition. What I remember most, the end of the 1962 World Series. Okay, I don't actually remember this. I've read about it. I was in second grade. But I did have a bet with Artie Catano, 1 cent. I had the Giants, he had the Yankees. I had to pay him a penny in New Providence, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. Artie Catano. I like the vowel ending that last name, too, Tim. By the way, Joe Reali sent me a text about this, in fact, 62 series. That was the famed Bobby Richardson catching the line drive off the bat of McCovey. They met each other in the 80s. Does your hand still sting? That's another good story there. We're going to say goodbye with some look at where we're going to be on Monday of next week. Launching into a new reality. Get excited next week.